The secrets of resilience that leave scientists stunned spark a deeper question in all of us. What are we truly capable of? Let's begin with the Inuit, a people who call the Arctic home, a frozen wilderness where temperatures can plummet to -50 degrees Celsius, where exposed skin freezes in mere seconds. Imagine stepping outside and feeling your eyelashes icing over, your fingers numbing within minutes, conditions that would drive most of us into retreat. But for the Inuit, this is just another day. These remarkable people hunt seals and whales with tools honed over centuries of necessity, navigating vast, featureless snowscapes without the aid of GPS or even a compass. How did they manage such feats? It's not merely skill, it's evolution at work. Their bodies are physically adapted to their harsh environment. Shorter limbs and stockier frames, features that aren't random but are, in fact, nature's design to trap heat like a perfectly engineered thermos. Their metabolism operates like a furnace, running hotter than most to keep them warm in conditions that would leave others shivering in defeat. But it isn't just their bodies that defy conventional logic. Their diet, too, would make a modern nutritionist faint. Picture this: no kale smoothies, no avocado toast, no colorful salads, just raw seal, whale blubber, and fish, day after day. No fruits. No vegetables. Barely a trace of carbohydrates. By today's standards, their cholesterol should be sky high, their arteries dangerously clogged, and their heart struggling. Yet, astonishingly, the Inuit boast some of the healthiest cardiovascular systems on Earth. Scientists scratched their heads in disbelief until they discovered the reason: a genetic quirk. A mutation in genes like Captain 1A enables their bodies to process fats with extraordinary efficiency, almost like a superpower. It's as if evolution handed them a cheat code for surviving in a world where food is scarce and fat equals life. Their adaptation is not only a marvel of biology but a testament to humanity's ability to adjust and thrive under extreme conditions. Now, let's delve into their minds. You've probably heard the old tale that the Inuit have 50 words for snow. This isn't just a linguistic curiosity. It's a profound clue into how language shapes reality. Unlike us, they don't say turn left or go right. They use absolute directions: north, south, east, and west, all tied to the earth itself. Blindfold an Inuit elder, spin them around, and they'll still point north without hesitation. Studies suggest that their language rewires their brains, granting them an almost sixth sense for navigation. It's not magic, it's an intimate, lifelong connection to the land, a relationship so deep that it challenges our very understanding of perception and orientation. Let's now shift gears and travel halfway across the globe to the lush, steamy jungles of northeast India, where the Naga tribes, often misunderstood, carve out lives that are as fierce as they are fascinating. These aren't just hunters, they are legends. Stories abound of warriors, the Naga, who faced tigers with bare hands, their courage echoing through the dense forests they've long called home. But the Naga weren't solely defined by warfare. They were artists too, shaping intricate pottery, forging tools and weapons from metal with skill that rivals modern craftsmen. Their society was deeply structured and remarkably balanced. While men often led, women held clear rights, managing households, preserving oral traditions, and passing down ancient wisdom. One cultural custom stands out in particular. When the eldest son married, he inherited the family home, and his parents would build a new one. It's a practice both practical and symbolic, representing continuity in a world of constant challenge and change. But there's a darker chapter in the Naga story, one that sends chills down the spine. Until the late 20th century, the Naga were headhunters. This wasn't mere violence, it was a rite of passage. Taking an enemy's head brought status, respect, power. Warriors displayed their trophies with pride, their bodies tattooed with each conquest. The more heads a man had taken, the greater the honor bestowed upon him. Though headhunting has been outlawed for decades, its legacy lingers in the misty jungles, an eerie yet powerful reminder of a culture forged through struggle, ritual, and survival in a world that offered no mercy. Now, let's journey to the highlands of Papua New Guinea, where the Yoli tribe lives in rugged, almost mythic isolation. Their world is one of steep mountains, dense jungles, and ancient secrets, largely untouched by the hum of modern civilization. The Yoli rely on knowledge passed down through generations. How to farm in rocky, unforgiving soil, how to hunt in thick forest canopies, how to endure where most outsiders would quickly falter. Their isolation preserved their way of life until a daring British explorer made contact, peeling back the curtain on a culture that seemed frozen in time. But what makes the Yoli so captivating isn't just their resilience, it's their secrecy. Even today, Much of their customs remain a mystery, a tantalizing puzzle for anthropologists trying to piece together life once thought lost to the ages. Across the ocean, on the scattered islands of Panama and Colombia, the Cuna people, also called the Gunner, paint their world in color and cultural defiance. Their vibrant textiles, called molars, are explosions of pattern and hue. Each stitch tells a story, a visual narrative of their ancestry, battles, spirits, and dreams. But don't let their artistry fool you. The Cuna are fierce. 4 generations, they fought off outsiders and colonizers, guarding their autonomy with a resolve as unyielding as Arctic ice. Their spiritual lives are just as intense. Animal sacrifices aren't relics of a forgotten past, they're living rituals, tying the Cuna to the invisible forces they believe govern their world. To them, these acts are not empty traditions but the heartbeat of existence, anchoring them to their ancestors and the land. Now, let's venture once more into the frozen wilds of Northeast Asia, where the Chuukyi people endure conditions as brutal as those faced by the Inuit. In Russia's Chukotka region, where the wind whips through reindeer-skin tents called urangas, the Chuukyi have not only survived but thrived for thousands of years. Their society is split into 2 worlds: inland herders guiding vast herds of reindeer across the tundra, and coastal hunters chasing seals and whales across icy waters. While their tools have evolved, from spears to firearms, their traditions have remained steadfast. Inside a uranga, a central fire burns hot enough to allow for light clothing, even as Arctic storms roar just outside. The Soviet era brought schools and hospitals, modern infrastructure meant to assimilate, but the Chuukyi's core identity remained unbroken. Their ability to absorb change while holding onto their roots is a testament to their adaptability and resilience. In stark contrast, we move now to the sun-scorched plains of Ethiopia and South Sudan, home to the Surma people. These fierce communities, divided into the Sui, Mercy, and Mien tribes, live for their cattle, crops, and independence. Clashing often with governments trying to force modern assimilation, the Surma don't just resist, they fight, sometimes violently, to protect their way of life. Their bodies tell their stories, adorned with scars, intricate floral patterns, and lip plates that stretch the boundaries of beauty. For Surma women, a lip plate isn't just decoration, it's a symbol of status, of beauty, of power. The larger the plate, the higher the dowry. And cattle, considered sacred and used as currency, define their social structure and cultural identity. While shocking to outsiders, these traditions bind the Surma to their past, anchoring them to the land and to each other. And then, there's the surreal saga of the cargo cults, a chapter from the Pacific Islands that reveals the sheer power of belief and the human imagination. During and after World War II, Allied forces arrived on remote islands like Vanuatu and Tanna, bringing with them planes, radios, canned food, and other wonders of modern technology. To the indigenous islanders, who had never seen such machinery or wealth, it was as if gods had descended from the skies. The goods, called cargo, weren't seen as human inventions but as divine gifts fulfilling ancient prophecies. When the war ended and the soldiers left, the islanders began mimicking their behaviors, hoping to summon more cargo. They built wooden airstrips, fashioned radios out of coconuts, and marched in formation with makeshift rifles, acts of devotion meant to bring back the material abundance they'd briefly seen. Far from mere anthropological curiosities, cargo cults serve as a mirror, reflecting back our own tendencies to mythologize the unknown, to turn confusion into belief, and scarcity into sacred ceremony. Even today, some islanders in Vanuatu still worship a figure known as John From, believed to be an American soldier who promised to return with endless supplies. Once a year, they celebrate John From Day, donning red, white, and blue and raising American flags, rituals that blur the lines between faith, memory, and identity. Now let us turn to the Sentinelese of North Sentinel Island in the Andaman Sea, one of the last truly uncontacted tribes on Earth. Fiercely protective of their isolation, the Sentinelese have repelled every attempt at contact, often violently. In 2018, a missionary attempting to approach the island was killed by arrows before he could even step ashore. Even Indian authorities, who govern the surrounding territory, have declared the island off-limits, recognizing the Sentinelese right to remain undisturbed. Very little is known about their language, culture, or customs. Even aerial photographs are rare. But what we do know is awe-inspiring. These people have survived for over 60,000 years on a speck of land less than 60 square kilometers in size. Without agriculture, without trade, and without assimilation into the modern world, they endure. Their very existence challenges our definitions of civilization. In an age of digital hyperconnectivity, the Sentinelese stand as a silent rebellion against homogenization. Their arrows are not weapons of hatred, but of sovereignty. We cross again into the frigid north, this time to the Sami people of northern Scandinavia. Indigenous to regions across Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the Kola Peninsula of Russia, the Sami have weathered centuries of forced assimilation and cultural erasure. Yet their identity remains fiercely intact. Their lives are tied to the snow-covered lands and the reindeer herds they shepherd across frozen expanses. Their musical tradition, the joik, is among Europe's oldest. Each joik is not just a song but a spiritual embodiment, a tribute to a person, a place, or a force of nature. To joik is not to sing about something, it is to become it. Despite historical bans on their language and spiritual practices, today the Sami are reclaiming their heritage, fighting for land rights, language preservation, and climate justice. As the Arctic warms, their way of life is under threat. The ancient reindeer migration, once dictated by snow and instinct, is now disrupted by melting ice and unstable seasons. Yet, the Sami persist, resilient as ever, their voice echoing through the Arctic winds. Finally, let us turn our gaze to the Melanesians of the Solomon Islands and Vanuatu, not only for their rich traditions but also for a scientific mystery that has long fascinated